This guy, Son Yan, is the captain of a firefighter squad. One day, he gets injured and ends up at the hospital. To his shock, the doctor who will be treating him turns out to be none other than his high school sweetheart, Su Qin. 10 years ago, Su Qin was transferred to a new school where Son Yan was her classmate. Upon seeing her for the first time, he instantly fell in love with her. They quickly became more than just friends. However, Su Qin's mother disapproved of their relationship because of their different backgrounds. Son Yan was from a middle-class family, while Su Qin came from a wealthy and influential one. Under pressure from her mother, Su Qin ended things with Son Yan, leaving him heartbroken. She thought they'd never meet again, but fate had other plans. A decade later, they found themselves face to face once more. While Son Yan recognized his first love right away, Su Qin couldn't recognize him because he was wearing a mask. Son Yan's team informs the doctor that he hit his mouth on a hard surface, causing his teeth to hurt. Su Qin suggests they see a dentist, but since it's late at night, the firefighters urge her to give Son Yan a painkiller to ease his pain. When Su Qin asks Son Yan to remove his mask so she can take a closer look at his teeth, he abruptly leaves the clinic, insisting he's fine and doesn't need treatment. After he departs, Su Qin is left in a state of shock, her mind racing with thoughts. She thinks about those eyes and realizes the patient is none other than her high school boyfriend. To confirm her suspicion, she goes outside, but the firefighters have already hopped into their truck. The other team members inform Son Yan about Su Qin waiting outside the hospital, but Son Yan avoids her and leaves the premises abruptly. The next day, Su Qin receives a call from her property manager, who informs her about a fire near their neighborhood. Upon hearing this, she immediately decides to go to the location to treat any survivors. Meanwhile, Son Yan and his team reach the scene, but a car blocks their path to the building. Since the owner is nowhere to be found, they take matters into their own hands. Working together, they lift the car and tip it onto its side, clearing the way for the fire truck to reach the burning building. The scene is chaotic, with smoke arising from the building and the sound of sirens filling the air. As the team heads towards the building, Su Qin steps out from the crowd, intending to join the firefighters to treat the survivors' injuries. Son Yan instinctively grabs her arm, mistaking her for a civilian. Seeing Son Yan, Su Qin realizes that he is indeed the firefighter who came to the hospital the other day. Without hesitation, she informs him that she's a doctor and is here to offer her services. Understanding the need for medical help, Son Yan agrees to let Su Qin accompany him. After reaching the location, a team of firefighters under the supervision of Son Yan enters the burning building. They are going to find any survivors inside. Meanwhile, Su Qin is treating the injured people outside. Suddenly, a blast sounds as something explodes inside the building. The instructor of the firefighters asks if anyone is injured. Luckily, all the firefighters are safe. They learn that there could be more explosions inside the building, so it is better to cancel the search mission and call their team back. So, the instructor, Suo Jun, orders everyone to come back outside. But Son Yan sees someone asking for help there. It's a young child who is sitting in a corner, weeping for help. So, Son Yan goes to help him. The moment Son Yan is taking the child out, a big explosion occurs, and huge flames come out of the building. Everyone is worried about Son Yan, but we see that he is coming out of the smoke with the child in his arms. Su Qin quickly goes to Son Yan to treat him if he is injured, but Son Yan is fine. Instructor Suo Jun comes to him and asks him to follow the instructions next time. Meanwhile, the owner of the car, which the firefighters set aside, has arrived there. It was a sports car, and that's why the owner is angry at the firefighters for damaging it. Son Yan handles him very nicely, and Su Qin is standing there watching all this. On their way back, Suo Jun asks Son Yan if he knows the lady doctor who was helping the victims, but Son Yan doesn't give any reply and goes back to the station. The next day, Suo Jun again tries to ask Son Yan about the doctor, but Son Yan ignores the question. However, deep inside, Son Yan thinks about her all the time. On the other hand, Su Qin brings out a bag from her storeroom. Inside the bag are some things from her past that are related to Son Yan, like a jacket with the name Son Yan on it. She remembers her past days spent with Son Yan when they used to graffiti on the walls. She then goes to the house of the aunt of Son Yan, where he used to live back then, but the aunt and her daughter are not happy seeing her. They don't even welcome her inside. They tell her that Son Yan doesn't come to their house often as he spends most of the time at the fire and rescue station. The other day, a couple comes to her when Su Qin is in the hospital. The lady wants treatment for her burned arm. Su Qin gives them the medicine, but they want more attention. Meanwhile, some firefighters come there injured, so Su-Chin quickly stands up from her seat to treat them. The man with the burnt lady tries to stop Su-Chin as he wants more attention from her for her wife. But his wife's injury is not that serious. Son Yen is present there, and he quickly saves Su-Chin from that man and asks him to stay away from the doctor. Outside the hospital, Su-Chin runs to talk to Son Yen. It's their first proper talk after a decade in which Su-Chin tries to ask Son Yen out for a coffee, but Son Yen is hard on her. He doesn't show any interest and rejects all the offers made by Su-Chin. The other day, Su-Chin goes towards her home in her car after work. The stormy weather prevails all over the city, and her car stops in between the water that had accumulated on the street due to heavy rains. She tries to get out of the car, but the door is jammed. Also, water starts accumulating inside the car. She becomes anxious and quickly calls 119 for emergency help. After some time, help has arrived, and it is none other than Son Yen. He lifts the car above from the front with his full might and drags it ahead. Then, he breaks the window glass and takes Su-Chin out of the car. After reaching at the safe place, Son Yen rebukes Su-Chin for going out in such weather. He then gives her a dry jacket to wear and asks her to go home. Son Yen himself leaves in a boat to help other victims of this stormy weather. The following day, Su-Chin is present with her friend Xiao in his club. A waitress tells them that firefighters have come there to check their safety systems. Hearing this, Su-Chin stands up and goes to look for Son Yen, but there is a female officer who has come there for the system check. She is the senior of Son Yen. After that, Su-Chin goes to the bathroom, where she sees a couple kissing. Then, she remembers her days spent with Son Yen at the clubs. It ignites her desire to meet Son Yen again, and she leaves the club immediately. She goes to the fire and rescue station to meet Son Yen, but Son Yen declines to meet her. He asks the guard to tell Su-Chin that he is not at the station this time, but in reality, he is standing there at a distance, looking at Su-Chin. Instructor Suo Jun comes there and asks Son Yen to meet Su-Chin, but he declines to meet her again. He has forgotten everything and wants no connection with his past. The next day, Su-Chin goes to the house of the aunt of Son Yen, where he is present at that time. She returns the jacket to him, which Son Yen had given her on the stormy night. She then thanks him for saving her life, but Son Yen asks her why she is trying to meet him again and again. He doesn't want to meet her again until and unless she is ready to marry him. Su-Chin is shocked to hear this, but before she can reply, Son Yen says that she can't marry him as she lacks the power to make such a decision. That's why Son Yen is not willing to meet her again. Su-Chin is silently standing there, and she has no answer for him. After that, we see there is a road accident and a car has fallen into the canal. The rescue team is there to get the victims out of this sad situation. An ambulance also comes there with the emergency department doctors, including Su-Chin. When the rescue team is cutting the body of the car to take the victim out of the car, suddenly, the car moves downward towards the hill. Su-Chin is there inside the car, treating the victim, and is going to be hurt by the pointed end of the car's body. But Son Yen comes behind her and saves her. However, he injures himself badly on the back by that pointed end of the car. They extract the victim and send him to the hospital. Su-Chin asks Son Yen to come to the hospital as he is injured, but Son Yen refuses to go for treatment with her. Suo Jun comes there and forces Son Yen to go to the hospital. In the hospital, Son Yen asks for another doctor for his treatment, but Su-Chin is not going to provide him with another doctor. She asks him to remove the shirt, and then she herself washes the wound of Su-Chin with antiseptic. Then she stitches the wound and puts a bandage on it. After putting the bandage, Su-Chin looks in the eyes of Son Yen and asks him to patch up with her again. But before Son Yen could answer him, the firefighter officer who was present at the club come into the room. Her name is Li Meng and she is worried about Son Yen. She helps him wear his shirt and asks him come with her back to the station. Looks like she also has feeling for Son Yen. Su-Chin is watching all this standing silently. After Li Meng leaves the room, Su-Chin asks Son Yen if she is his girlfriend. But Son Yen says that he is not going to patch up with Su-Chin because he can't bear the pain of breakup again, which he has endured once 10 years ago. At that time, he was young, so he endured the pain, but now he has not that strength to fall apart again. Saying this, he leaves the room and Su-Chin is weeping there, remembering her good old days. Outside the room, Li Meng also asks Son Yen about the lady doctor. She is willingly to leave Son Yen if he is interested in the doctor, but Son Yen says that there is no chance for both of them. Neither the firefighter lady nor the lady doctor. Our hero is a hard boy and it's not going to be easy to melt him. The next day, Su-Chin wakes up after hearing continuous knocks on her door. She opens the door, and it is the rescue team who wants permission to use the balcony of her house to save a child who was struck outside the building accidentally. She grants the permission, and the team quickly rescues the child. Su-Chin then bandaged the child's arm as it was injured. Before leaving, Su-Chin asks a firefighter to send her Song Yan's contact number without telling him. Then she asks Song Yan to have some tea as he has made a lot of effort to save that child. So, Song Yan stops for a moment and takes tea in her house. When Song Yan leaves the building, Su-Chin calls him from the window and asks if he is free this weekend, but Song Yan again ignores her and goes away. In the night, Su-Chin receives Song Yan's contact number, which was sent by a firefighter. She seems happy just scrolling through Song Yan's profile on WeChat. The next day, Su-Chin herself reaches the fire and rescue station to meet Song Yan. She asks him out, but Song Yan declines her offer. Then she demands a treat from him as she has allowed them to enter their house the previous day to save that kid. At this, Song Yan has no other choice but to give her a treat. They finalize the date, and Song Yan runs before the firefighter boy who had leaked his number to Su-Chin. Though he is the captain of his team, he still has very friendly relations with everyone on his team. On the day of their date, we see Su-Chin being ready for the special occasion. She even gets help from her friend to put on some makeup. Song Yan also gets a fresh haircut and then leaves for the desired meeting. They go to a local restaurant where they used to go together 10 years ago. In this romantic moment, we see Song Yan coming hard on poor Su-Chin, who is trying to be cute all the time. He even finishes his meal very quickly and asks Su-Chin to eat fast. Su-Chin acts on his order, but she again seems cute with so much food in her mouth. Song Yan can't handle her cuteness, and before he falls again into her charm, he steps out of the restaurant and waits for her to complete the food. Meanwhile, he receives a phone call from the police station. His cousin Zhai Miao was arrested by the police. So, Song Yan runs towards the police station. There, he learned that Zhai Miao was selling fake products, and many of her buyers had complained about her. Now, she is not revealing the name of her supplier. Su-Chin takes Zhai Miao with her and talks to her privately. She says that Song Yan can do anything for her if Zhai Miao is really acknowledging her own mistake and helps in the investigation. Otherwise, police will inform about the case to her school and she will not be able to graduate from the school. Zhai Miao agrees to talk about her supplier and gives all the details to police. After some days, when firefighters are busy on a rescue mission, a big explosion occurs. Unfortunately, the friend of Song Yan, instructor Suo Jun, was very near to the explosion, so he suffered a lot of injuries. He is rushed to the hospital by the ambulance. As soon as Song Yan hears this news, he also runs towards the hospital. When he reaches there, Suo Jun is out of danger, but one side of his body is completely burnt. His face is burnt from the side, and he can no longer use his one arm. Song Yan is deeply saddened by seeing this scene as he knows that Suo Jun will not be able to work with him now. They have to be apart from each other. They have been together for more than 8 years, and now their lives are taking turns away from each other. Suo Jun asks Song Yan not to be sad as now he will be able to give more attention to his parents. Actually, Song Yan and Suo Jun had an argument in the previous days on this topic. Suo Jun wanted to get transferred to a station near his house so that he could give more attention to his old parents, but Song Yan wanted him to be at the main station with him. Now, when Suo Jun has agreed to remain at the station, this accident has occurred. Song Yan is also repenting for quarreling with him about this matter. Now Song Yan knows that Suo Jun didn't even submit the application for his transfer. He just quarreled with him for nothing. After some days, when Suo Jun's health is recovered, he is given a farewell with a proper honorary ceremony and all the high-esteemed badges of their command. In the past, we see that Su-Chin's real parents died in an accident, and the Meng family adopted her. Though she was treated well in the Meng family, her adoptive mother didn't allow her to be with Song Yan because of the status issues. Meng's family gave all the facilities to Su-Chin and even brought her up as a good surgeon. Back at the present, her mother shows Su-Chin some photographs of the males to select one for her marriage. One of them is Jian, who comes from a rich family. Su-Chin's mother arranges a meetup for both of them, but at the restaurant, when they are talking, Su-Chin receives a message from Song Yan. So, she quickly got off and went from the restaurant, saying that there was an emergency in the hospital. Back at home, when Su-Chin tells her mother that she is dating someone, her mother coldly asks her to stop dating anyone below her family standards. She threatens Su-Chin that if she doesn't stop dating Song Yan, Then she will become the same mother of 10 years past when she separated both of them. She even tries to talk to her father, but his views are also the same as those of her mother's. He also doesn't want her daughter to be with someone below their level. The following day, when Xu Qin and Song Yan are present at a restaurant, an accident suddenly occurs in the kitchen of that restaurant. Song Yan, being the firefighter, though he is off duty, quickly runs into the kitchen and saves a lady. He lifts her in his arms and brings her to safety. It turns out that the lady is a friend of Su Qin named Yu Xiao. She becomes very interested in Song Yan because she sees him helping people in an emergency situation so bravely. So, she repeatedly asks Su Qin for Song Yan's contact number. She wants to date Song Yan now. Su Qin doesn't tell her about their relationship and gives her Song Yan's contact number. When Yu Xiao calls him, Song Yan doesn't even pay much attention to her and also declines the offer of a treat from her. Su Qin is being happy by listening to all this. Her man is a loyal one, she should be happy, but Yu Xiao is not a person who loses so easily. She continues to contact Song Yan again and again. One day, Song Yan agrees to meet her, and Yu Xiao tells Su Qin about this, which makes her very sad. In her sadness and anger towards Song Yan, she drinks a lot and then goes to the house of Song Yan in a drunk state. She pours out all of her feelings to Song Yan there. She thinks that she is the only one trying to rebuild the relationship between them, and Song Yan doesn't even want to take a step toward her. She accuses him of being indifferent about their relationship. Zhai Miao is also present there and tries to speak about the sacrifices of her cousin for Su Qin. But Song Yan stops her. He wants to endure the whole pain alone and doesn't want Su Qin to bear the weight of truth. He can make himself grieved but can't afford to see her loved one being sad for a moment. The next day, when Song Yan is going out, his uncle advises him to get his love back. He says that Song Yan is lucky to have a second chance to get his love, so he should put in all the effort to get it. Song Yan calls Su Qin and asks her to meet him. They meet outside the building where Su Qin lives. So, Su Qin takes him to her house, and Song Yan makes some food for Su Qin to eat. During these touching moments, Song Yan now speaks about his heart. He wants to come together with Su Qin, but he wants surety that she would take a stand for him in front of her family. Song Yan now can't bear to be apart from Su Qin, so that's why he wants Su Qin to come into the relationship after thinking about every aspect of it. But Su Qin can't go against her family. She can't even promise Song Yan that she will always be with him, but Song Yan wants a final decision as they are going to be together now, or otherwise, they will never see each other again. After that, Song Yan has left and the brother of Su Qin, Yan Chen, comes to take Su Qin with her. During the drive, Su Qin tells her brother that she feels like an animal who is trained to act according to the will of her master. She also expresses that she wants to live with her family and Song Yan together, but now she is being forced to decide one of them, which she can't. The next day, we see all the firefighters are enjoying meals sent by Yu Xiao. She is still trying to be friendly so that she could impress Song Yan, but Song Yan calls her and strictly forbids her from sending meals again. She also tells her that Su Qin is his first love. Also, we come to know that Song Yan met her before just to say that she should leave him alone and look for someone else. Die-hearted by the behavior of Song Yan, Yu Xiao comes to Su Qin and tells her about everything happened yet between her and Song Yan. She is mad at Su Qin because of not telling her anything about their relationship. Now, as she has known about both of them, Yu Xiao motivates Su Qin to reconcile with Song Yan, but Su Qin knows that it's not very easy for both of them to reconcile. Then we see Su Qin again go to her mother to talk about the matter of her love. She says that Song Yan makes her feel at home all the time. She is happy just being with him. Also, Song Yan cares a lot about her, but her mother becomes angry at her. She doesn't even want to hear the name of Song Yan. She blames him that he comes from a bad family with no manners and a wrecked past. She thinks that Song Yan must not have been brought up well, and one day, he will ditch Su Qin as he is just after her for her wealth. Actually, Song Yan's mother left her husband when Song Yan was a child. She went to someone else richer than Song Yan's father. After that, Song Yan's father started drinking a lot in her disloyalty. All the burden of the home chores came on the shoulders of Song Yan. And then, one day, Song Yan's father was found dead outside of the house due to the extreme cold weather and excessive drinking. Though Song Yan was helpless and left alone now, her mother never returned for him. She was busy in her new life. Then Song Yan met Su Qin, and she changed his life completely. They became friends and spent time together, being the source of happiness for each other. They also went to meet Song Yan's mother, but she didn't even come to meet him. From that day, Son Yen believes that his mother is dead for him, but he had Su Qin with him all the time, who used to make him happy. One day, a man calls the rescue team to remove a nest of bees from the roof of his house. When a firefighter is removing that nest, he slips while posing for clicking a picture of himself. This causes the bees to fly and bite Son Yen. So, Son Yen is transported to the hospital. There, Su Qin was present for his treatment. She removes his clothes and then treats the wound. There is an awkward moment when suddenly, some nurses enter the room while Xu Qin is treating Son Yen on his exposed body. Seeing them, Son Yen quickly pulls his pants back up on his butt. After the treatment, when Son Yen leaves the hospital, he sees Su Qin's brother Yanchen coming. Yanchen stops Son Yen and talks to him. He also wants him to stop seeing his sister as Son Yen doesn't match the status of their family. But Son Yen says that Yanchen should leave this matter to Su Qin as it's her life, and she should be the one deciding if she wants to be with him or not. Yanchen, being the brother, wants the best for his sister. But Son Yen reminds him that he is not the real brother and that he is too possessive about Su Qin. Yanchen has also tried multiple times to convince Su Qin to convince her against Son Yen, but he has always failed. Though Yanchen doesn't feel as cold person as his mother still, he has issues with Son Yen. He argues that Son Yen will never be so good to Su Qin as her family is good to her. But Su Qin believes that Son Yen is a good person as he has helped so many lives, and it doesn't matter if he comes from a lowly family. He has a good heart that beats for humanity. After that, our rescue team gets a mission to escort out some hikers who have been stranded in the mountains. The rescue team makes a plan to search for the hikers, and after some time of extreme hard work, they finally get them. But one of the hikers is extremely injured and can't even wait to go to the hospital. So, Son Yen calls Su Qin in an emergency and explains the whole situation. Xu Qin then guides Son Yen in giving basic treatment to the injured hiker in the woods. When the basic aid is given, they carry the patient and start their journey out of the forest. But a firefighter slips on the track and falls from a cliff down into a lake. Son Yen goes down to save him and get him back to the team, but the firefighter's foot is strangled below a heavy stone, and Son Yen alone can't get it out of that stone. Also, they have an injured patient who is continuously in pain. So, Son Yen asks his team to leave the hikers at the base camp and then come back for their help. Meanwhile, Son Yen remains back with his firefighter, who gives him hope and heat all the time. Su Qin is sitting at her house and is worried about Son Yen as he is not replying to her text messages. The rescue team reaches the base camp and safely leaves all the hikers there. Then they go back into the forest to get their friend firefighter and their captain back. Son Yen is extremely exhausted after coming back to safety. At the base camp, they see that all the hikers, their relatives, and news anchors have left the place. They didn't even wait for the rescue team to come back. Son Yen says that this is the life where they have to work selflessly for humanity without expecting anything back. He messages Su Qin and informs her that he has safely returned to the station. Seeing the messages, Su Qin gets a sigh of relief and then goes to sleep. As Suo Jun left the station after his injury, the new instructor on the rescue team was Jiang. He is the same person whom Su Qin met earlier on the asking of her mother. Now, he advises Son Yen that they should have a medical team with their rescue team during the operations as they felt the great need for the medical team when they were extracting those hikers from the forest. Jiang also proposed this idea in front of his officials, and they agreed to give them a medical team. Su Qin comes with a doctor and some nurses on her team to help with the rescue team in their missions. After the formal introduction, Su Qin sets out to teach firefighters about the basic first aid methods. First of all, she teaches them CPR and Son Yen is her subject. She asks Son Yen to remove his shirt to show the points on his chest to be pressed if a patient is not breathing. Son Yen removes his shirt, but when Su Qin touches his naked body, he becomes uncomfortable and stands to go away. The next day, firefighters give training to their medical team to increase their strength. When Su Qin is running on a treadmill, Son Yen comes to run on the neighboring treadmill. Su Qin, watching Son Yen running faster than her, also increases the speed of her own treadmill. But Son Yen knows that this speed is too much for her, so he steps down and stops Su Qin's treadmill. When Su Qin is going back, she feels pain in her ankle and sits down. She has sprained his ankle by running so fast. So, Son Yen treats her ankle while all the firefighters look at them in surprise. The next day, the rescue team receives an emergency call about a road traffic accident. The rescue team, along with the medical team, goes to the site and escorts the injured people. With the presence of the medical team, The injured ones get the proper treatment on the spot in a timely manner, and in this way, the life of a person is saved. The rescue team clicks a photo to make this mission memorable. Also, the feelings between Su Qin and Son Yan have been increasing, and they are slowly coming together by working together on such missions. Back at the station, Su Qin sees Son Yan talking to a female officer of the Fire and Rescue Center. She seems jealous of her, and when she tries to talk to Son Yan about her, he even puts oil in the burning flame and doesn't clear out her suspicions. So, to take revenge, Su Qin also talks to Jiang in front of Son Yan. She even extends her conversation with him just to make Son Yan jealous. After that, when Son Yan talks to Jiang about Su Qin, Jiang even pulls his leg, saying that they have already met at a restaurant. Also, the mother of Su Qin wants them to be together. There, Son Yan reveals to him that Su Qin is his first love, and Jian bursts out in laughter. He has been just pulling his leg all this time, and he knows about both of them already. On the other hand, the mother of Su Qin has come to know that her daughter is working with the rescue team. So, he asks the director of the hospital to call their medical team back as it is inappropriate for young lady doctors to work with the rescue missions in dangerous places. She also arranges a meeting with Son Yan at a restaurant. There, the mother of Su Qin admits that she had destroyed the family of Son Yan and could have destroyed Son Yan at that time. But Son Yan's father begged her not to hurt Son Yan in his future, so she left him alone at that time. Son Yan knows that Su Qin's mother is the real villain in his story, so he asks her not to meddle in his life again as he is now stronger and more resilient than his childhood version. He can go to any extent to save his family and Su Qin from her. Saying this, he pays the bill for their coffee and leaves. Back at the station, Jiang tells Son Yan that authorities want the medical team back to the hospital. Son Yan knows that Su Qin's mother must be behind this, so he wants his firefighters to get the basic life support health training from the medical team in the time which they have until the medical team leave. On the ground, we see when some nurses want to experience being firefighters by holding the nozzle of the water pipe. But when the pressure of water gets out of their control, they make Su Qin wet while she is clicking their picture. Son Yan is also watching this, so he takes Su Qin to the changing room and gives her his uniform to wear. Until then, he dries her hair so that she does not catch a cold. He even combs her hair like the days he used to do 10 years ago. During this, Su Qin asks Son Yan to tell her anything about the 10 years when they were separate from each other. She wants to know everything, including his life in the military, but Son Yan ignores her question, which makes Su Qin angry with him. Actually, Son Yan had a terrible life in the military. He was shot on a mission and was about to die, but the longing to meet Su Qin made her live. He even had a lighter, having a picture of Su Qin with him all the time. This lighter proved helpful and stopped a fatal gunshot from touching his body. Also, Son Yan doesn't want to tell her about his previous life because Su Qin's mother had always been an obstacle in his promotion to higher ranks, and that's why he had to leave the army. After that, we see Su Qin meets with another male sent by her mother. While discussing their daily lives, Su Qin says to that man that she has a boyfriend already. Actually, Su Qin is not interested seeing males sent by her mother. She wants to be together with Son Yan and will never date anyone else. Meanwhile, Son Yan is thinking about Su Qin after their small argument. He is worried about her and watching her profile picture. Accidentally, he calls her when Su Qin is present at the hospital. They again have a romantic little argument where Su Qin says that Son Yan doesn't have a good EQ as she doesn't care for her emotions. After the call, Su Qin is informed that the rescue team is going to conduct an emergency drill at their hospital, and Su Qin is asked to participate in this drill as a doctor who is struck in the pharmacy. So now, during the drill, Su Qin is waiting for her savior, Son Yan, in the pharmacy, but he comes there very late. So, Su Qin shows her anger towards him as she has been waiting for a long time. Suddenly, the whole building starts to shake. These are some shocks of earthquakes that shackle everything in the hospital. Son Yan quickly covers Su Qin to protect her from any potential damage when everything from the shelves falls on them. When the earthquake stops, he lifts Su Qin in his arms so that the broken glasses will not hurt her feet and then takes her out of the pharmacy. He leaves Su Qin there and then goes out to help others. Meanwhile, everyone escaped out of the building to stay safe from the earthquake. After some days, Su Qin returns the lighter having her picture on it to Son Yan. She had found it in the truck of the firefighters. Then Su Qin asks happily to reconcile together, which is responded by a smile by Son Yan. It means that they are going to be together now. One day, the rescue team gets a call from a jewelry store, A woman has put a ring on her finger while checking it, but now it has struck around her finger and can't be taken off without cutting the ring. But the problem is that the ring is very expensive and her husband has to pay for it if rescue team cuts it. The lady is weeping continuously and doesn't know what to do. Also, her husband is continuously rebuking her for wearing such a ring on her finger. Here our rescue team convinces the son of that lady to allow them for cutting the ring as his mother is in continuous pain. He allows it and they cut the ring using their instruments. Also, they ask the manager of that shop to use that cut ring for making something else and paying back the money to the family of that lady. The manager agrees and, in this way, they have solved the issue. Then we see a firefighter. Jian Yu is very anxious about the victims of earthquake and continuously searching for more victims to save them, even though his captain Song Yan has asked him to take a break. When Song Yan goes to him and asks about the reason of his anxiousness, Jian Yu tells him that he is unable to contact his mother who was present at an area which is also hit by the earthquake. In the night, Song Yan promises him that he will try to ask the official to contact his mother. Li Meng, a firefighter administrative official, comes with the news that the mother of Jian Yu is safe and sound. This makes all the firefighters very happy. Back in the city, we see Song Yan come to meet Su Qin and ask her if she missed her or not when he was out on the rescue mission helping the victims. Su Qin, trying to tease him, says that she didn't miss him at all. Hearing this, when Song Yan tries to go on his way, Su Qin stops him and kisses him passionately. They go inside and enjoy some romantic moments together now, as they are together, so they live in Su Qin's place. Song Yan also buys some safety tools for Su Qin so that if she is struck somewhere, she can use them to get out of that situation. The love and respect in the hearts of both of them for each other has increased a lot. They are more closer together now than any time before of their life. Back in the time of the earthquake when Song Yan was badly injured under the huge weight of construction debris, Su Qin was persistent that she had to go down to treat Song Yan. She knew that the area is highly dangerous down there, but she was weeping and saying that she had to go for saving Song Yan as Song Yan is the source of her life. If something happens to him, she will also not be able to live. Eventually, she went down to treat Song Yan. She puts a drip and then she receives a call from a nurse that she is needed there for treating another patient. So, she then goes there. After that, firefighters rescue Song Yan out of that place. A senior doctor performs surgery on Song Yan. In the morning, when Su Qin is free from treating other patients, she quickly goes towards Song Yan but sees a dead body being carried out of that tent. She weepingly removes the cloth from the face of that dead body, but thankfully, it's someone else. Our hero, Song Yan, is safe and sound but in another tent. When Su Qin goes to see Song Yan in that tent, an army officer is already there. He is a close friend of Song Yan's from the military who has served the country with Song Yan. He thinks that Su Qin is Song Yan's wife, as he has seen her picture on the lighter that Song Yan always carried with him. Song Yan had also told him back in the military that he was going to marry this lady once he got back home. But Song Yan now tells him that she is not yet his wife. There are some hurdles, and that's why they are still not married. Then Song Yan sees the batches on that friend's uniform. He has been promoted to higher ranks while Song Yan is out of the military. Then the firefighters come there to meet Song Yan. They tell him about the child whom Song Yan saved earlier is actually the son of a military personnel who was busy serving the earthquake victims in another area. And he is very happy after finding that his son is safe from the havocs of earthquake. Back in the present, we see Su Qin and Song Yan traveling together, going to visit different place, watching movies, etc. They are spending a quality time together. When they are at the grocery store, they shop all the items to make food at their own home instead of ordering it from outside. Back at home, Song Yan prepares food for both of them and then they enjoy their meal together in a candlelight dinner. After the dinner, Song Yan tells Su Qin that he has to go now and then he leaves her house though he doesn't want to. Su Qin runs behind him and stops him from going away. She kisses him and then takes him back to her house. They enjoy some romantic moments in that night. In the morning, they have their breakfast together and then leaves for their work. In the elevator, Su Qin asks about Li Meng who works with Song Yan at the fire and rescue station. Su Qin is worried that whether Song Yan likes her or not, but Song Yan kisses Su Qin and says her that she only loves one woman and that's Su Qin herself. At the fire and rescue station, we see Li Meng briefing about the future plans for their station, and she has a mild cough there. Xiang is also present in her audience, who, in the break time, leaves a water bottle and a note for her mentioning that she should take better care of her health and drink plenty of water. Seems like their love story is going to start now. On the other hand, at the hospital, Su Qin is being awarded a prize for working so hard for the victims of the earthquake. But at the stage, Su Qin dedicates the prize to Son Yan as he was the one who identified the victims under so much debris and took Su Qin to them for their treatment. After that, the senior doctor of hospital gives a special medal to Su Qin in his office, saying that Su Qin has emerged as a best doctor during these earthquake crises. When the colleague of Su Qin sees that medal, she becomes surprised because that medal is very precious and rare. Also, their superior doctor never found anyone eligible in his whole life to give that medal, but Su Qin is the one who finally succeeded in getting that medal from him. On her mobile, Su Qin is continuously waiting for the messages of Son Yan, as now they are in a relationship. So she is expecting that Son Yan should inform her all the time what he is doing. At night, Su Qin receives a message from Son Yan at last, which makes her very happy. The couple looks so cute together. The following day, at the lunch table, Su Qin again tries to convince her mother and father to allow her to be with Son Yan, but they both refuse to accept Son Yan again. Moreover, this time, they show their anger towards Su Qin for not acting according to their wish. But Su Qin has come prepared this time. She wants her parents to be convinced of Son Yan, or else she will leave them. She says that she is feeling happy after a very long time in her life. She has always been a puppet for her parents and never acted against their will. They should also care for her happiness, but they are still concerned about the face value of their family and their family standards. Her father says that they have provided all the facilities for her and never made her feel like she is an adopted child. But still, she is taking the side of Son Yan. At this, Su Qin believes that her parents always used her as an object for the better presentation of their family. Also, they are going to make her marry their desired person to show off to society and their financial gains. Su Qin then returns the keys to her car and house to them and says that she is not going to use anything given to her by her parents. Also, she says that she will continue to visit them until they accept Son Yan. Mrs. Meng calls her an ungrateful child and leaves the table. Also, Mr. Meng says that she has hurt them. Su Qin is weeping as she feels very sad while leaving her parents, but she is still determined to live with Son Yan, so she leaves the house. In the bedroom, the father of Su Qin tells Mrs. Meng that maybe they should never be too hard on their kids, but Mrs. Meng stops him from being good as they have already discussed and agreed on this point, which is that they will discipline their kids in every case so that their kids will never go against them. It looks like Mr. Meng has some goodness in his heart, but he is helpless against his wife and can't make any decisions of his own. Sad Su Qin is sitting at a bridge waiting for Son Yan. When Son Yan comes there, she quickly jumps to hug him. She has been missing him a lot after leaving her parents for him. Son Yan takes her to his home. He introduces her to her aunt and uncle, who welcomes Su Qin with a warm heart. They have dinner together and a very nice chat on the table. All the feel is like they are actually a family who has been living very happy and meaningful life. On the other hand, her mother always used to show off her money and status to her all the time. She takes Su Qin to expensive malls and buys expensive stuff with her, but they are not close to each other by heart. Her mother also introduces her to another male who is well educated and has a strong financial background. But in front of him, Su Qin says that she already has a boyfriend, and Son Yan is standing near them. She points to him and says that he is her boyfriend, then goes towards him. Son Yan comes ahead and says to the mother of Su Qin that he is taking Su Qin back home. The mother leaves them with an angry expression on her face. Su Qin hugs Son Yan so tightly that it is as if she has come through a very hectic day spent with her mother, and now she is back in heaven. The cousin of Son Yan, Zhai Miao, is also there and feels ignored in the love between Son Yan and Su Qin. From then on, Su Qin starts living with Son Yan at his house. She goes to the hospital on a bicycle instead of a car now, but she is happier now. At the hospital, she learns that her colleague Dr. Yang Si is sitting sadly because of a critical patient who died while she was treating her. Su Qin goes to Dr. Yang Si and tries to lower the burden of her heart. She has seen the reports of that patient, and there was no mistake made by Dr. Yang Si. So, Su Qin tries to convince her friend that she should not feel bad about that patient. Actually, that patient came in critical condition to the hospital and needed emergency surgery, but her family was reluctant to give money for that surgery. Doctors somehow convinced them to pay, but the surgery failed, and the patient could not survive. Now, the patient's family is also demanding the money, and it has become a problem for the administration of the hospital. Su Qin's colleague is feeling bad for the family and the patient now. Luckily, the conversation with Su Qin proves to be helpful, and her sadness decreases somewhat. The following day when Jiang is having meal with his parents, the parents ask Jiang to leave the job at the fire and rescue station because it's very risky job and Jiang can easily get another job of his choice. But Jiang is passionate about this job and doesn't want to leave it. Actually, in the previous days, during a rescue mission, a big explosion happened, and Jiang was seen being affected by the explosion so much. He was thrown out of the building by the pressure of that explosion, but luckily, he had not injured himself a lot. At night, Jiang talks to Song Yan about his parents, who want him to leave that job. Song Yan says that he should leave the job if he doesn't like the job. Moreover, he adds that he wants Jiang on his team, so it would be better for him if Jiang remained on the team. This makes Jiang very happy, and he decides to continue working. Then we see our rescue team at a building where some gas leakage is causing trouble. As the gas is very poisonous, no one wants to go inside to turn the locks off. So, Song Yan and Jiang wear some special suits and then go inside to perform this hard task. They do their job very well and close the leakage. But Song Yan's suit gets ruptured when he accidentally comes in contact with a metal object on his back. This makes him vulnerable to that poisonous gas. After coming back out of that building, Song Yan feels dizzy and collapses. He is immediately taken to the hospital, where Su Qin gives him CPR. She is weeping all the time because the gas is very poisonous, and Song Yan is in pretty bad condition. The chances of his survival are very low this time, but luckily, he survives the poison and comes back to life. Su Qin is very disturbed by the thought of losing Song Yan, so she is still crying, even though Song Yan is out of danger. Seeing this, Song Yan hugs her from behind and comforts her by saying that he will get himself transferred to some other position where his main job will be to train the firefighters, and he will not take part in the rescue missions himself. Then we see some employees of a company celebrating their growth in the industry by exploding some fireworks. Unfortunately, a firework goes inside the building of their industry and causes a huge fire. They call for the rescue team, which quickly comes and goes inside the building to get the survivors out. During their mission, fire suddenly increases and an explosion occurs. One of the firefighters, Yang Qi, gets caught in the havoc of the fire and gets injured badly. Song Yan and his team start searching for their fellow firefighter. They found him in pretty bad condition, so they rush towards the hospital by taking their companion. At the hospital, doctors try their best, but they cannot make that firefighter survive those fire wounds, and he ultimately dies at a very young age serving humanity. This makes all the staff of firefighters and doctors very sad. Song Yan especially takes it to heart and says to Su Qin that he will not be able to leave his current job. He doesn't want to go the sacrifice of his young soldier in vain. That's why he will continue to work there. Then we see that Su Qin's brother Yan Chen is also fed up of the so much controlling nature of his mother. So, he also quarrels with his mother and angrily leaves the home. He goes to the bar to vent off his anger by drinking. The waitress of the bar seeing Yan Chen there informs her ex-colleague Yi Zi who wanted to meet Yan Chen. So Yi Zi quickly comes to the bar and tries to talk to Yan Chen. She thinks that Yan Chen is interested in her as he has always been helping her. Also, he gave her a treat at a restaurant earlier, but when Yi Zi now tells Yan Chen that she fancies him a lot, Yan Chen responds very coldly. He thinks that Yi Zi is before money, and that's why he is fancying him. He asks Yi Zi to take money as much as she wants and go away. Yan Chen thinks that he is judging her very right, but his words hurt Yi Zi a lot, who is seemingly in love with Yan Chen. She was not expecting such a response from Yan Chen, so he quickly goes out of the room and starts crying in a corner. After some time, she decides to take revenge on Yan Chen. She goes back to the room where Yan Chen is present, fully drunk. She tears off her own clothes and also puts on some bruises around her neck. When Yan Chen's mother calls him, Yi Zi picks up his phone and starts weeping at the call. After that, she ends the call and makes contact with the class monitor at his school. She tells him that she has been raped by Yan Chen at a bar, so all the students are coming there to help her. Meanwhile, Yan Chen's mother has called her lawyer, and they are discussing how they should manage this case. They decided to settle this matter by offering some money to Yi Zi, but when they ask for her bank account number, Yan Chen suddenly comes back to his senses and tells Yi Zi that she will end up in prison if she gives her bank account to his mother. He knows his mother very well. She is going to use Yi Zi's own tactics against her, so Yi Zi doesn't give her account number. Then Yi Zi threatens Yan Chen for calling the police and accusing Yan Chen of raping her in front of them. Surely, Yi Zi was not in love with Yan Chen, and she was doing all this for money. Yan Chen was right about her. Now, when he hears her intentions, Yan Chen tells her that she can do whatever she wants as Yan Chen is depressed from his current life. He wants to see how his life turns out at the end. So Yi Zi calls the police, and Yan Chen ends up in the lockup. When the parents of Yan Chen go to bail their son, the police tell them that Yan Chen has already confessed to his crime and he doesn't want to meet anyone. Looks like this man is really depressed and doesn't have any interest left in his life. Meanwhile, Su Qin also learns about her brother, so she quickly heads off to the police station with Son Yan. She tries to talk to Yan Chen through the prosecutor, but Yan Chen doesn't want to meet anyone. Meanwhile, Son Yan finds out from Xiao that some college students came there at the bar when Yi Zi accused Yan Chen of rape. And now those college students are putting pressure on the police and judiciary by running trends on the internet to punish the victim. Son Yan remembers that Yi Zi is the class fellow of Zhai Miao and she must know more about the case. So, he goes to meet her. Actually, Zhai Miao went to that bar that night and saw Yi Zi making the bruises on her neck herself. She was faking everything and planning to put the blame on Yan Chen. Zhai Miao was shocked by seeing this and she even recorded a video of Yi Zi doing all this as evidence. Now Zhai herself is confused that whether she should give that evidence to the police or not, as the Meng family has teased Zhai's family a lot. She knows everything how they first ruined the lives of Son Yan's parents, and when Son Yan applied for the army, it was Meng family who made her not to be selected in the army. Zhang's father even went to the Meng family and begged in front of them for not ruining the future of Son Yan, but still they always have been the main obstacle in the promotion of Son Yan to higher ranks, whether it's army or fire and the rescue station. That's why she doesn't want to help Meng family this time. At hearing all this, Son Yan tells her that he knows all these things, but still he didn't go after the revenge. He doesn't to live in the resentment of the Meng family. Also, he says that he doesn't want to help Meng family but just wants Zhang to do the right thing. Zhang Miao agrees to give the evidence to the police, but she wants to do that in her own way. She doesn't want any money from the Meng family, but she asks to meet Yan Chen's mother and father alone at the Zhai house. So, his parents now come to the Zhai house and ask what she wants to do with them. Zhai makes them remember all their actions and what they did to her family. She wants them to acknowledge all those actions in front of the police, and she also wants them to kneel in front of her as her father knelt in front of them years ago. After that, she will give that evidence to them. The parents of Yan Chen have no other choice but to obey her order as they want to free their son at any cost. The father first tries to kneel down, but the mother stops him, saying that those were all her deeds that go in the wrong direction. So, she should be the one to kneel. With tear in her eyes, she folds her one leg partially to sit on her knees. But suddenly Zhai stops her from doing this. She hands over the evidence as she can't see the parents of Su Qin kneeling down in front of her. The mother of Yan Chen gives that evidence to the police and also acknowledges all her wrongdoings in the past. Police freeze Yan Chen as he is innocent and they put the mother in the jail. She is angry that her own kids made her suffer in this period of her age. Hearing this, Yan Chen says that someone from their family must have to come ahead to bear the responsibility of all their wrong deeds. Meanwhile, the police have also arrested Yi Zi for falsely accusing Yan Chen. When Yan Chen sees this, he goes to the police and tells them that he doesn't want to sue Yi Zi and they should set her free. Then he goes to Yi Zi and asks her to start a new life and never do such tactics again. Yan Chen is really a gentleman. In the end, we see Son Yan and Su Qin are back at their house and planning their future together. They also go for a photo shoot wearing the wedding dresses. They are looking like a very pretty couple together in these suits. On the other hand, the father of Su Qin applies for the bail of his wife. The director of hospital who has been acting according to the will of Su Qin's mother is also arrested. Yi Zi is packing her stuff and planning to start over a new life now. One day, the father of Su Qin comes to Son Yan's house with some gifts. He sees that his daughter is really very happy with Son Yan. He meets the family of Son Yan and even enjoys lunch together. He is a changed man now who wants to prioritize the happiness of her daughter over the standards and face value of his family. That's why he happily leaves his daughter with Son Yan. Son Yan also assures him that he will take good care of his daughter throughout his life. After that we see, Son Yan takes Su Qin their new house. It's a very cozy house which Son Yan has built for Su Qin to live according to her desires. There is even a rooftop grassy plot which Su Qin wanted in her house. Also, it's registered on the name of Su Qin. Here Son Yan sits on his knees and proposes Su Qin to marry him. He promises her that he will always take good care of her till the last breath of his life. Then, we see Su Qin meet her brother at a restaurant. Yan Chen sees Su Qin's ring and congratulates her. He He also now wants her to be happy whether she is with his family or not. When they leave the restaurant, Su-chin texts him to express her gratitude to him. She is thankful that her brother always helped her and prioritized her. Yen-chin turns around after reading that text and smiles by seeing Su-chin. This is the first time we are seeing him smiling. Also, the mother of Su-chin is happy with the relationship between Su-chin and Son-yen. After some days, there comes a terrific tsunami in the country. Everywhere the tsunami is causing huge losses and damages to the people's lives and properties. Meanwhile, Yen-chen is also helping an old couple going to the hospital. On his route, he sees Ez helping people on the road. The rescue team is also exhausted of helping the victims of tsunami. At night, due to the typhoon, many vehicles get into an accident. One of the vehicles is carrying the Meng family. The mother of Su-chin, succumbing to her injuries, gathers all her might and presses the horn to signal for help. Luckily, Son-yen is there, hears the horns, and goes for help. He breaks the glass window of the vehicle and sees that it's actually the mother of Su-chin inside. He takes her out of the vehicle and transfers her to a safe van by carrying her on his back. In the van, when everybody is praising the captain of the firefighters, Mrs. Meng proudly says that he is the boyfriend of my daughter. After the tsunami has ended, Mrs. Meng herself arranges for the wedding ceremony of Son-yen and Su-chin. Also, we see Jiang and Li Meng are together now. In the end, we see Su-chin and Son-yen are sitting at their rooftop garden of Terry House. Son-yen narrates his vow which he took at the start of training of becoming a firefighter. The vow to help the humanity fearlessly and selflessly.